first race of 12 this weekend between the Rush Series, GRIDLIFE GT, and IBOC GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. And we've been waiting long enough for this. Practices, qualifying, warm-up, lightning this morning. Now lightning on the racetrack. Here we go. Doubled up, waiting for the green flag to fly. Out in front is Bryce Mersberger and Jalen Batley. Green flag, and we're underway at GRIDLIFE Chicagoland. And 3 wide down towards the first corner, but Batley is going to get out-braked by Mersberger on the outside. Mersberger takes the lead here. Ayrton Grimm trying to sneak up around the outside. He takes 5th spot in that purple and orange CRP racing car. Matthew Novak tried to sneak up the outside of the green, but could not do it here, Dana. Out to turn 3 into turn 4 for the first time. Almost single file immediately. They're all getting shuffled in order here, and they're going to try to run away. The leaders are going to try to run away and not have any side-by-side action. And now through turn 5, another fast left-hand corner here where you're balancing on the limit. Watch Grimm close in on the car ahead of him. I think that's Nick Billingsley in the number 9 that he's trying to run down. And then it's Jason Ayler up the road, one of the drivers who won multiple races at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course the last time we were without our championship front runners. So the door is wide open for people to take advantage of that this weekend. Batley lost the lead, though, into turn 1. Just a little bit braver on the brakes for Mersberger on the outside. Yeah, Mersberger has the advantage going down the back straight here, but Batley's going to try to get a little bit of a draft going into turn 11. Up on the back stretch, a little bit of side-by-side. Matthew Novak in trail. It looks like Jared Anderson, potentially the 99, is back there. But on the brakes, look at Batley. Big lockup into turn 11. He woes it down, but he got in there a little too hot there, Dana. Another lockup, yeah, we'll see. He's definitely brave on the brakes. And Nick Billingsley under fire there from Ayrton Grimm. Really spicy for 4th place. And there's Jason Ayler in that 74. Watching these front 2 battle, and that lockup for Batley. Will it hurt his braking performance if he locks up again like that? Into turn 1. Ayler is watching and ready for Batley to make a move so we can try to sneak up on them both, get a 2-for-1 pass. So that transition, that quick flick from right to left, big slide out to the curbs as well. Their front 3 have broken away. In the background there, though, Ayrton Grimm under fire now from Matthew Novak in the 256. So battles for 4th on back. The leaders about 10 to 15 car lengths between them. Batley was a little better in the back half of the course, and these two have kind of gone back and forth in speed all weekend long. Mersberger may be slight advantage. He did win a race back at Mid-Ohio. I think it was race 1 that he was victorious. Here's a look at their first lap, half a second between them as they came across the stripe. 131.476 for Mersberger, 32 flat for Jalen Batley. I think he'd like to just sort of separate the Gazelle from the rest of the herd here and just tackle him one-on-one without pressure from Jason Ayler. But to your point, Ayler watching and waiting in that blue and white 74 for these two to battle. Look at how much Batley's closing on the brakes, though. That aggression is paying off a little bit. Yeah, strong on the brakes into 11, but then he'll lose a little bit of pace on the exit there as Mersberger can get on power much sooner. A huge slide for Mersberger into turn 13. Flat slide, gathered it up. Across the stripe this time. It was 6/10 across the stripe last time, 5/10 this lap around. That tentativeness on the brakes, I think, is going to end up hurting Mersberger if Batley gets close enough to have a look into turn 11 next time by. This is going to be fun to watch between these two. Mersberger using a little more track at the exit of turn 3 as well. Both of them lighting off early, both running 29s in the last lap. Batley slight advantage, about a 10th faster. It's interesting to watch Batley start to track down Mersberger. Ayler sort of falling out of the fight for now. Ayrton Grimm was looking at Billingsley a couple laps ago, but since had to give up the fight to hold off Matthew Novak and Jared Anderson and some more. Max Krause was also really quick this weekend, but didn't really finish qualifying where he had expected or hoped. He's now down in 8th place. He had some issues. We'll have to see if he can work his way forward through the field. Flat slide for Batley that time. Here's that battle for 4th we were talking about. Nick Billingsley, Ayrton Grimm, and Matthew Novak. Grimm in the purple and orange. Novak in the green and yellow car at the back of this shot. Remember that for Grimm, this is a new car to them. Big wiggle for Anderson in the background, and Max Krause will pick up. That was at the far right of that shot. Just slipped on the curbing. That painted rumble strip is a little slippery compared to the asphalt, especially if there's still moisture held in those ripples on the curbs. Those things will collect rainwater, and there was a little moisture and precipitation this morning. I would not be surprised if they were still wet. I actually heard that the braking zone into turn 11 was still slightly off of pace where it would normally be, but by now it might be better. Matthew Novak just hit pit lane in the 256. I think he peeled off. So that will reduce the pressure from Ayrton Grimm for a little while as he tries to close back in on Billingsley in the number 9. There's the battle between them last time by best lap between these two. Give it to Billingsley by 0.2 of a second.
Grimm now has about a 9/10 deficit to Billingsley. He's going to have his eyes set on trying to catch up to that as Batley still holds the fastest lap of the race, about a half a second back for now. And Ayler is seemingly falling back just a little bit more now, 3 seconds off.
And so Ayrton Grimm trying to keep that 9 car in his sights here. Especially if these front two start to battle and it brings Jason Ayler into the fight. I don't think it would be too long before those two could also potentially be involved in a little bit of a scrap. Again, for Grimm, I think this would be a solid run. Get inside the top 5 again. They didn't really seem like they had all that much pace this weekend. Still learning this car. The chassis new to them, and just before Lime Rock was when they picked this car up. And here's a look last lap around. Billingsley 0.2 better. But we'll keep this graphic up and we'll just watch the ebb and flow of the lap times deltas between these two. Billingsley at a 30.342, Grimm at a 30.571. And as we come across the stripe here, this is going to change as Jalen Batley just picks up the best lap of the race, but is 0.7 back. Here's Billingsley and Grimm, and this time by the stripe, 0.4 better by Ayrton Grimm. So that's exactly what the CRP racing folks want to see with Grimm closing back in.
Absolutely, only 0.4 back now, so he needs to do that lap one more time. He'll be side by side over the line.
And need one of those laps to catch graphics. It sort of tracks the trend over the last couple of laps.
I would say 1 right now.
It would. He's sort of locked in. You know, I think one of the things that's probably nice is coming off of events where we had, 30, 40 of these Rush Series cars. It's so chaotic with all the cars everywhere. It's like driving into a tornado every lap. That it's probably not a terrible thing to have a slightly smaller field, so you can just focus on the battle at hand rather than have to worry about getting constantly passed every time you try to set up for a pass. I'm sure that for Grimm, that's probably real nice.
Yeah, he can put all his focus ahead of him as Billingsley has a bit of a slide there coming through turn 9. It might affect his run down the straight through into turn 11. Grimm's going to have maybe a little bit of a slipstream, see if he can outbrake him.
Not a ton of straightaway, not enough to use a slipstream, but did he look a little slow on the stretch there to you?
It was further back than I thought.
Yeah. Well, it might have just been the compression of the lens there, but looked like he was a little slower on the stretch than we were potentially anticipating. No change up front. Actually, Batley's actually quite close to Mersberger now. That battle for lead is going to get pretty hot. 0.2 of a second between them as Billingsley just runs his best lap of the race. But there's a look at the last lap delta for Batley up to Mersberger. And here's that battle for the lead here, Dana. Up to turn 4. Mersberger leads, but just by a car length or 2 over Jalen Batley.
Batley is absolutely on it. Just reset again the fastest lap of the race. Only a 0.2 gap now to the lead. He is chasing the rabbit in front of him, waiting for any opportunity to get around him as they go through turn 7.
Yeah, and again, I think the advantage for Batley has been on the brakes. Turn 11 is the best place to do that. He's got to set up 7, 8, 9, 10 to be in position. That's this sort of carousel multi-apex complex, we'll call it, over on the backside of the track. Look at how much Batley closes on the binders.
Does Batley have a win already this year?
I don't think so. I think
you said Mersberger has 1 already.
I thought it was Mersberger then Ayler times 3 at Mid-Ohio. That was the only time that someone not named Blair Hosey or Ryan Leach has won a race this year.
If not, then Batley can see it here. It is right in front of him. He's just got to figure out a way around it, and we know he's strong on the brakes.
We'll see if he just pops out of line and goes for it at any point. Not close enough that time. Big slide for the leader, though. That'll leave him vulnerable here through turn 12. Got back on power enough to defend it. You can't really do much about it in turn 13 either. That's a fast corner where you're very on the limit. Batley is trying to track him down. It was 2.5 tenths at the line last time, but this time Mersberger gained a 1.5 back. This is a fun dogfight between these two, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is a very good battle right now. Just looking for any possible mistake. Could switch the order up here at any moment.
Into turn 4 now. No other battle is as close as this one. A couple that are about 8 or 9 tenths apart. See the delta between their best laps as well. Batley about a 1/10 quicker, but that's not a lot around here.
No, absolutely not. That if you could run several laps within a tenth, you'd be quite good.
Again, Batley losing some ground in the first sector and closes all of it on the brakes. And that's come at risk of his tires. Again, we've seen that 88 lock up quite a bit this weekend. But when you can gain that much, I think it's worth putting the tire on the edge grip like that. And such a good run out of turn 10. Tucked up behind and 4 minutes to go.
Definitely close enough to think about making a move here. Is he going to go to the inside? He does.
And Jalen Batley on the brakes, locks him up. Mersberger crosses over, under, and Mersberger takes the lead back. What a pass there. Batley gave it a shot, and he might have given it all he's got because he dropped now 10, 15 car lengths behind the 114.
I think Mersberger saw that coming from a mile away, and he almost allowed it to happen and just planned the over-under.
That was actually really savvy driving by Bryce Mersberger. Batley almost had it slowed down. But that was, Mersberger understanding that Batley was likely going to go in there pretty deep. So if he backed off early, it would have made Batley look like he was driving in super deep. But he did go deep, too deep. But Mersberger crossed over beautifully, took the lead back, and now puts 1.2 seconds between himself and Jalen Batley. And you see that there on the last lap delta. Cost Batley a full second with that maneuver down into turn 11. But you have to try something. He's running around out of time here. He needs to gain another 4 to 5 tenths a lap if he wants to go up there and defeat Mersberger.
Yeah, 3 minutes left on the clock. It could be 2 laps left. I mean, we'll have to take a look. I'm sure they have spotters on the headset letting them know the race time left, and you got to make a move. You have to try it.
Yeah, Batley will shake his confidence a little on the brakes, and he'd already locked up the right front a couple of times. Onto the backstretch again. The telling detail will be the delta between these two this time around. 1.2 seconds on the clock there.
Question is, will he push even harder to try to make up that 1.2 seconds now? He has had a slight pace advantage the whole race, it seems.
And with 2.5 minutes to go, I would expect that we get 2 laps to go. And there's a blue flag out there for a lap car, so that will be of no mind to the race leaders for the time being, but it will be, I believe, 2 laps to go, so Mersberger has an advantage. Look at the last lap, though. He was only 34 thousandths quicker than Jalen Batley, but not really a gain by the 88, and he needed to gain a bunch there.
Yeah, we'll see how the lap traffic comes into play here. Very good job there by Howard.
Yeah, John Howe in the 17, and then looking back a little deeper in the field, here's a fight going on. This is right ahead of Anderson, I believe. That's Kelsey Billingsley, who just made a pass on Jared Anderson. And Peter Dale in the 127, making his first start in Grid Life Rush Series competition in the black and blue car at the back of the shot. Fun little scrap here for about 7th spot.
Absolutely, and they know they're running out of time here. They're all going to try to look for any opportunity to make a move here, as they know they only have 1 or 2 laps to go here.
Kelsey just stole that spot away from Jared Anderson. Peter Dale kind of evaluating from behind in the black car, seeing if these two get side by side again, if it'll open up opportunity to sneak through. And watch the brakes here. I love the side view into the braking zone to watch the compression of the cars there. Kelsey Billingsley a little bit deeper, and I do see that it's likely we'll get our white flag this time. There it goes, white flag. It will be our final lap of the race for Grid Life Rush Series Race 1. The leaders come across the stripe now. It's 0.9 seconds between Mersberger and Batley, and here is that fight between them. Don't know that Batley's got enough time to run him back down here, Dana, but he gave it all he had and a little more.
If he can repeat that last lap, it would be less than a half second at the line, and that's just one mistake away from having an order switch up.
Got to keep the pressure on. Maybe Mersberger makes a mistake. He has been pretty flawless so far, but it's always possible.
This is probably enough of a gap where Mersberger knows it. He's just got to remain cool and clean for 1 more lap and not take any extreme risks. And it's probably the exact opposite scenario for Batley, as he's trying to make up any possible time he can to try to get some possible overlap. Maybe hope that Mersberger makes a mistake and he can take advantage of it.
What I've learned watching Grid Life competition the last couple of years is you can never call it till you cross the checkered flag and that start-finish line. Mersberger a little offline there. And Batley, I think, is quicker. I mean, we've seen that represented in the lap times this event, but not consistently quicker. And Bryce Mersberger in the 114. think he's going to do it after 10 laps. Let's see the gain there by Batley, 4/10 with 2 laps to go, but on the last lap, I don't think it's going to be enough. Bryce Mersberger in the number 114 holds off, outsmarts Jalen Batley in the over-under maneuver. And the first race of the weekend at GRIDLIFE Chicagoland in 2025 will go to Bryce Mersberger in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Jalen Batley, valiant effort, but comes home just a couple seconds short. And Jason Ayler will finish in 3rd place, kind of a lonely 3rd in that number 74, just now crossing the line, 9.7 seconds back. Those front 2, Dana, in their own zip code.
Yeah, they're in a league of their own this weekend.
John Howe off at turn 11. I'm not sure that he's going to get back. So he's just shy of the pit lane entrance. Ayrton Grimm comes home in 6th place after Max Krause and Nicholas Billingsley. Then it's Kelsey Billingsley in 7th, Jared Anderson in 8th, Peter Dale in 9th, Bill Dorrance, I think, in 10th. Here's a look at your race results here. Bryce Mersberger, Jalen Batley, Jason Ayler, Nick Billingsley, and Max Krause, your top 5 there, Dana. Surprises in this one? Those front 2 just drove away from everyone else.
They did drive away. I see Krause picked up several spots during that race. A very actually close finish between Krause and Grimm, only 0.2 of a second at the line.
Bill Dorrance down in 10th place. And looking at the next page here of the last results, John Howe, Mark Trevor-Gorski, Matthew Novak out with some kind of issue early on. But GRIDLIFE Rush Series race 1, pretty fun to watch. Let's have a look here at the highlights for our first race of the weekend for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Nick Billingsley given the heart before the green flag, but on the green, it was Bryce Mersberger that went around the outside, took the lead away from Jalen Batley, who sat on pole. Jalen's big move there on the early moments to try to outbreak the 114. Couldn't get it done that time, but sat in trail for a couple laps, trying to figure out how to attack that red and white car out in front. All the while, Ayrton Grimm battled for 4th place. A little bit later in the race, Jalen Batley built a huge run here on the 114 of Mersberger, just closing lap after lap within 2 or 3 car lengths, just matching every maneuver. And this was the big move up the inside, had the lead for a moment, but brake too late, too deep. Mersberger saw it coming, crossover slide, and that was the defining moment in the race where Batley was unable to dig himself out of that hole that he created. And for the first time since Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, young Bryce Mersberger finished the race in 1st place and wins GRIDLIFE Rush Series Race 1.